Lorraine, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. I thought we would start the segment and just allow you to explain your role at Athena Global Advisors to our viewers.
Sure, yeah, I'm a senior vice president for client partnerships. And essentially, I oversee our non creative agency external facing work. So we have several different departments here at Athena that fall under me. One is account management, we've got marketing, events and experiences, optimization and reporting, and project management. And so my function really is to ensure our projects are scoped correctly, we're pricing things correctly, we have the right resources on them, the services we're offering make sense, everyone's happy on the project, the client, things are going well with the client. If it's not, I'm sort of the point of escalation to speak with the client and make sure we get things back on track, which rarely ever happens, which is great. And then I also am part of the executive leadership at Athena. So I help to advise on strategy for the company, how we're growing, what kind of new businesses we want to go after, what different practice areas we want to explore, how we're talking about ourselves externally. And then, some general advisement on operations around the office, although we do have a great internal operations team.
That's a lot. You're that point person for everything that's going on at Athena, basically. I think you're perfect
Yes.
for the role.
Yeah, and I report directly into our CEO, Maggie Wilkinson, who is an amazing mentor and advisor, and I'm very grateful to have her above me to kind of make the final calls and help, when I need some of her advice on client management and partnerships. She's really she runs steers the ship excellently, and is great to have her, as a mentor.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your time at the New York Times.
Yeah, so before I came to Philadelphia and started working at Athena, I was living in New York and working for the New York Times in their marketing department, really focused on consumer experiences and events. I produced a live interview show called Times Talks. It was New York Times journalists interviewing thought leaders in front of a live audience. They have a great theater there. So it would be an in person event, but also recorded and live streamed. Then we had some other events and experiences that we did that was really all about bringing the journalism that the New York Times does to life and allowing their audiences and customers to really be able to engage with the topics that they cover and the journalists as well. I was there for almost 9 years, which was an amazing
Long
experience
time.
learning. Yeah, I had been come from an event background before, but this was also a way to really learn the marketing side of things, and the publishing industry, and be part of a brand that I have always really admired and respected. And it was exciting to be part of an organization that has been around for so long and is such a force in news. So it was really an amazing experience. I'm very grateful for everything that I learned there.
I'm curious what the differences are between working for a very long standing establishment like the New York Times and a relatively new company like Athena Global.
Yeah, it was very different. The Times has, a really huge brand reputation that everyone that works there really is stewards of the brand, and you really do feel that you're working for a major newspaper of record. And so anything that you're putting out, even if it's an ad that runs in the paper or it's a live event, you want to be really thoughtful about how you show up. There were a lot of rules around sort of the separation of the newsroom and the business side, sponsors, and journalistic integrity. Also, a lot of quality control. You want to make sure everything that runs in the paper is spot on, no errors whatsoever. So, a lot of hierarchy existed at the New York Times. A lot of running things up a chain of command for approvals, which you know make sense for a company like the New York Times. But it also meant from the business side of things, I can't speak to how the newsroom operated, but from the business side of things, it also meant that things moved kind of slow.
Mm.
As much as we wanted to react to what was going on in the world and create really exciting programming that was really timely, it could be really tough to kind of put those things together. It's a huge kind of institution that runs slow. And I know that when I was there, there's the struggle of how, and I think any big corporation, especially in this day and age, struggles with this of how to react to this really fast paced digital world that we live in and ensure, especially when you're in the news industry, to make sure what you're putting out there is factually accurate, even from a business and marketing perspective. And there's a balance there and a struggle. And I think that, I was working for the New York Times 10 years ago. So I'm sure, they've made leaps and bounds as far as how quickly they can react to things. But at the time, they were still trying to figure it out. So came to Athena. When I first started here, we had maybe 20 employees. So we were small, and you could just kind of go over to Maggie's office and have her look at something and approve it, and it was out the door. And so things could move really, really quickly. I think that's been a benefit to a lot of our clients, because a lot of our clients are really big corporations, and we're able to, whether it's put out creative really quickly, marketing plans and ideas, we can turn stuff out that I think is really high quality, but we can do it quickly. We can pivot quickly. So, when COVID happened and we had a whole slew of live events that had been planned that were immediately canceled, we could pivot very quickly and say, all right, events have gone away for the foreseeable future. We're going to really lean in here and focus on this. We could be opportunistic as we grow and sort of develop our services if new business comes our way, and we feel like it's something that we have the expertise to handle, but it's not necessarily something that we have traditionally done before. We can quickly make those decisions. There's not a whole lot of red tape and bureaucracy that we have to go through. So that's been a really exciting change. I think also because of our size, we're really collaborative. When sometimes you are in a large organization, you tend to have a lot more silos, based on departments and practice areas. A place like the New York Times that is, at the time I was there, I think we had 20 floors of the New York Times building, and you have people on different floors. You don't see them, you don't interact with them. Here at Athena, we all are on one floor together. We see each other every day. There's quick conversations that we can have, and get to know each other. So it fosters a lot of really great collaboration, which I think allows us to do really great work. And it's fun to be involved in a lot of different pieces of work and projects, where when I was at the Times, I was really focused on this sort of live event experience work, and here at Athena we're doing so much more than that, and I get to have kind of my hands in all these different pots, which has been a really amazing growing experience for me.
One of the things I think Athena does really well is they support rising talent. Um, how has that affected you and your role there?
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I came with a resume full of event and production experience, and I was at a point in my life where I really didn't want to work in events. I had a small child, and event work can be a lot of nights and weekends and travel, and I was
Right.
just kind of, it was a grind that I wanted to get out of. And, you know, Athena is a place where we really do allow people to pivot and change in their career direction. I think we look at people, and if you have sort of general talents and you're smart and you can figure it out, we'll try you on a project and see how you do and see if you can kind of, flex in different areas. So for me personally, that was amazing to get out, to not feel stuck in one industry and to be able to explore other avenues. And I think we do that really well with our young talent too. We tend to really be successful with hiring kind of generalists out of college who are good at a lot of different things, have a lot of different interests, and maybe don't necessarily know what they want to do coming out of college. It's a great place where they can try their hand at different projects, whether it's, data and reporting, or it's more of the creative side of marketing. They can try put their hat into the ring for all these different projects, and find out maybe they're really good at one thing, or maybe they're good at a lot of things, and we can put them on a bunch of different projects. We're also working on a sort of internal, we call it Athena University. It's a learning and development track for all of our employees. We're developing a really robust onboarding experience. Again, for every level of employee that comes here at Athena, but we do hire a lot of talent out of college. So it's really kind of setting and establishing the fundamentals of how we work at Athena. Whether it's, agenda setting for meetings and how you take notes, to how you interact with clients, to how you show up professionally and with, an executive presence, to presentation skills. And we're building our own curriculum, and then also tapping into classes that already exist, whether it be skilling people up in Excel, or SQL, or other tools that our clients might use. We're really trying to grow, that sort of expertise that's bespoke to Athena, and then also some of the skills that everyone needs to complete the projects that we have here. And it's a growing program that we launched last year, with some of the Athena fundamentals that we have, and then we're building up, supplementing other platforms that provide curriculum, and then building out tracks for different people depending on their level at the organization and what department they're in. So, which is a really tremendous, I think, offering for our talent. It helps us develop really great talent who can provide really good work for our clients, but it's also a really amazing experience for our employees, especially new talent coming out of college, that is giving them all of the tools to kind of succeed in the business world in a variety of different ways.
I think that is so wonderful, and you're doing it collectively as colleagues, right? So you're doing the work, but you're learning together, um,
Yes.
and improving. So, yeah, that's a really wonderful idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and we do a mix of, in-person learning. We have, some our senior leadership at the company will, especially when we have the out of college class, if you will, that comes in, we'll do group sessions. It's a great way for them to get to know our senior leadership and to also just kind of hear our take and perspective on how things are at Athena. And then there's also online courses. We do recordings. And then, we do have some of these out of the box classes that people can take. So it's a variety of learning on their own, group discussions, in-person presentations. So it gives people a variety of different ways to learn and experience.
Yeah. I wanted to just end with a couple quick fun questions so we get to know Lorraine a little bit better.
Mhm.
Did you
Sure.
have any childhood role models?
I would have to say my parents are probably my number one role models. They are hardworking people who I think, always treat people with respect and dignity, and, gave me a good sense of how to, show up on time, how to present myself, how to be responsible, how to manage money well, which so important, especially when when you're younger and starting your adult life. And a really strong work ethic. Um, and then professionally, I mean, I always loved, Jane Pauley was sort of someone that I
Oh,
always looked
yeah.
up to. She was at the when I was very young, she was the Today Show co-anchor. And so she
Mhm.
was on every morning in our house, and I looked at her as someone, a professional woman who, um showed up. She had such a nice has such a nice balance to her of being still being a woman, but not being a pushover, being tough, but having that sort of blends of you took her seriously. She wasn't kind of a fluffy woman morning show host. You could tell she definitely had the credentials and the toughness, but just I found her to be what I kind of wanted to be as a woman in the workplace. So always
Did
kind
you
of
have
been.
aspirations of being, a host, a commentator, a
I
reporter?
did when I was young. I thought, what a that was great. I wanted to be on the news, and then at some point, I realized that the being in front of the camera was not something that I wanted to do at all. And then we had a family friend who was a producer on the NBC nightly news, which I thought that's really interesting. You can still be kind of part of history in the making on the front lines of things that are happening, but not be in front of the camera. But it's a tough industry, and I didn't necessarily think coming out of college that I had that sort of bulldog, go get him attitude that I felt like was necessary in journalism. So working on the business side of the New York Times was actually kind of the perfect balance for me because I was still in the industry of news, which I was really excited about, but I wasn't necessarily a journalist. I could kind of play to my strengths, and but still be in the industry. So that was the working at the New York Times was really a sort of a dream job for me, being able to um, be in a place that I really loved and respected, but being able to do it in a way that worked for me and my personality.
Well, I think you're doing a lovely job here today on camera.
Thank you.
You could totally pull it off, Lorraine.
As you get older, things get a little easier. You get a better sense of self. But when I was young, I
Yes.
was shy and,
Oh,
timid
I
about
know. I
things.
was too. Yeah. I had the big pipe dream, but didn't quite make it happen till much later, much, much later. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I'm going to let you get back to work. And it's great to hear from you about Athena Global Advisors. We're so appreciative of being partners. And I love being able to shine a light on individual executives there. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. This has been fun. I really appreciate it.